Jester said a minute ago, so I'm going to kind of backtrack a second, but quilts with the down and synthetic. This is a 40-degree, it's synthetic. You got down, you have clamshell, which is synthetic, and then this is a new type of insulation they have. It's called Up, which is still a synthetic, but it's a little bit lighter and feels more like down. It compresses a little better than like clamshell would also. But that you can get, if it got wet, it wouldn't be as detrimental as if the down got wet. No, it's a little heavier than down, but not as heavy as your clamshell synthetic. All right, so that's the difference between the down and the clamshell. I'm going to be setting a couple of the hammocks up here in a minute. We'll go over. I got from the heavier on down to my lightest that I have. I do just want to go over what I feel are some benefits of hammocks versus tents. One, the obvious. With a tent, you got to find somewhere flat. If you have roots, rocks, anything like that, it's going to be uncomfortable in a tent. A hammock, I've strung up over big boulders. I've strung up over streams. I've anywhere that other people couldn't in a tent. As long as I have a couple of trees or a couple of tie-out points, I'm good. Something else that I like to, like about a hammock is after hiking all day, I can put my hammock up, and one, I've got a chair, I've got a seat. But whenever I sleep at night, generally when you set up a hammock, you want the foot end just slightly higher than the head end. That keeps, it keeps you from sliding down and getting into a ball at the foot end. Since your torso is heavier, you would tend to slide if your foot was lower. But what I like about it is with the foot end slightly up, your feet are elevated, and it helps with your blood flow and everything. And whenever I would get up the next morning, my feet wouldn't be as sore. So I loved that aspect as well. And the comfort. I think a hammock is so much more comfortable, because when I lay on the ground or anything like that, one, crawling in and out of the hammock or out of the tent, like with Mighty Blue, the other at Dismal Falls, when he was crawling out of his hammock, or I keep saying hammock, crawling out of his tent the next morning, the noises that he was making, So I like just being able to unzip and turn my legs, and I'm in a seated position. I can put my shoes on, just reach down, tie them. And all that. A lot of people that drink coffee, that have their little coffee percolator or whatever right next to the hammock, and all they gotta do is turn and start it up, and then they can wrap back up, and when it's done, they reach down, pour it, and they stay comfortable the whole time. There are several different types of hammocks, from the material that they're made out of to the weight and everything else. I'll send these around. This hammock right here is actually, it's the heavier one, but this is what I used during my 2012 through hike. I loved it. Also, if I stayed in a shelter, I could use it as a pillow. But that's,
how heavy is that?
That one there is like about 2.5 pounds.
That's still fine.
Now that's just for the hammock though. That's not counting the tarp. So that's that one. This one here's a little lighter. This one has the bug net. That one has an attached bug net. This one here, the bug net is what they call a 360. So it goes completely around the hammock. That does have the bug net in it.
So what's this one?
That one there is R Hammocks. That one, the first one is Clark Hammocks, which Dutchware Gear now makes.
What's the weight limit to the person inside the hammock?
That one there, they put a, I say a legal safe limit on them. That first one has about a 300-pound legal limit. I've seen heavier people in them. They just do that, that way if anything does happen. But most of them, depending, like the last one that I'm going to show you, only has about 175, 200-pound weight limit. But I'm 230. I have laid in it.
What about the one you just passed around?
The one I just passed around has about a 300 as well, 300 pound. This one here, that one there's a Walhalla Hammock. That's a little lighter. Whenever I put it up, you'll see the material of that is a monolight, whereas those first two were a ripstop material. So there's that one, okay? And
It's like you're expecting something really.
that's still not the lightest. This one here is the lightest. What they call a Cloud 71 type material. It is a very light material. This hammock is not for everybody. This one you do have to be very careful with, but this one is for your ultra lightest.
Can you sleep in that?
I have. That material is a little stretchier than the ripstop materials.
What makes that one?
That one there is a Dutchware. Also, there's a couple of companies that make the Cloud 71s. You have Dutchware and you have Trailheads has one also.
I want you to figure out how to have that in my tent.
And it's well.
That's kind of how mine was set up. Was kind of I had a tent over.
See, with the tarps, I'll show you some tarps in a minute. I might even set one up later, since it is going to get cold tonight. I'll probably end up setting one up. So later, if y'all want, y'all can come down and see how I set that up as well. The tarps, I can set it up depending on the weather. Like tonight, I will set it up so that it's pitched low to the ground, but my tarp has doors. So once I get in, I can close these doors and it's essentially a tent, okay? I don't have to have the bathtub, and what they're calling the tents. I don't have to have that because obviously I'm, suspended in my hammock, but you still do have that option. If it's warm out, a lot of times I don't use one unless I know it's going to rain. And then I can also set up in what they call porch mode to where, say the wind's coming in from behind me, I can drop the back side of my tarp, raise the front side, and still have my views and everything else. So, yeah. So, here, I'll set this one up real quick. Let me figure out which side my net's on so I don't drop it all over the place. Nope, not that side. To make it easier to deploy. So like I can take this. Now there are different suspensions. I'm not gonna lay in these because I don't know how sturdy this is and I don't want to collapse. Here's my net right there. So with the bag, you asked about the bag, Mighty Blue. I can take and just pull from one end. But there's all sorts of buckles and everything that you can use as well. You can set it up to where you don't even have a buckle. So here's this one. And like I said, this is the R&R. The bug net, if I want the bug net on, I would take and this is the hammock that Jester owns as well, is R&R. She's been eyeballing my Chameleon though. The Chameleon, later on I can take y'all up there and show y'all the Chameleon. The Chameleon is the one that has all the side pockets and all that stuff that I was telling Pony about and Mighty Blue. But with this bug net here, of course I can have it off, or I can take, and if I know I'm gonna be in like a buggy area, pull the bug net over. And then once I clip it and everything, there's a clip in here. I have my net, my zipper. So then I would just unzip, go inside, and then zip it back up. And I'm totally bug free. Still off the ground and everything.
Does that mean like no seams from getting in?
This does, yes. Yes, this is the nano netting is what it's called. But yeah, you cinch the ends up and that stops the no-see-ums and everything. So there's that one. Yes, yeah. Tarp goes separate. The tarp would go up. No, it goes above all this.
No wind back here.
What did I do with my?
What are you talking about?
So I'm just unball this one up right now so I can get on with it. Now I'll show y'all one with, I'll go with this one here next. Last one I'll show you is that one there. That one there, I call that one my bougie hammock. Yeah, it's almost bomb proof. Slide this back up. So this one has the attached bug net to it. Yeah, it's got a zipper along that side, so I'll come around there. So with this one here, you don't have that 360 netting that you'd have to finagle with. You just unzip there, get in, and then zip it back up. This, I don't have this on my hammock up there. I want to get one. This is what they call a ridgeline organizer. So this is if I want headlamp, my cell phone, whatever, it's all right there. So that's one of the other pockets that you can have. But this is that monolight material. You can see through it. The bug net is made out of the same thing, which is also good for no-see-ums.
Will you put your quilt in there? You have an underquilt?
So yeah, and I can actually throw one on. Do I have one? Where do I have it? What did I do on my underquilt? I think it's in my bag. So the underquilt, yeah. Here's an underquilt right here. All the underquilt does, clips onto that end, clips onto that end, and now I got my warmth up underneath. No, backpack, some people will hang on the end of their ridgeline here. There is also little things like this that you can use. This is called a gear bag. This can hang up under as well, a little lower. Some people use these to put their packs in. Me, I normally just take, with my backpack, I'll throw my rain pack cover on it and just lay it up under. But this here, with your underquilts, once you get into the hammock, you're still not compressing the loft. And so you have all that warmth. I don't use a mattress.
But could you?
Some people do. Mattresses, the air pads work better on what they call a double layer hammock. Double layer hammocks, it's essentially 2 layers, and you can take and slide your mattress pad in between them. Most people, if they start off using a mattress pad, they usually end up going to a quilt because there's less finagle, with it. Sometimes if you lay a mattress pad in here and say in the middle of the night you go to turn, sometimes that pad will slip out from up under you. So the quilt is the better option for warmth. You generally stay a little warmer with a quilt and a hammock as well.
Why don't you let somebody try to sleep straight in there?
With a gathered in, now you do have gathered in hammocks, okay? Hence, it's just all gathered at one end. And a lot of people, they'll jump into hammocks and they get one, and of course they lay in it and they think that's how you have to lay, and then they're uncomfortable, and then they don't want anything else to do with them. If you take and you lay at a slight diagonal, you can lay perfectly flat in them.
You mean like underside diagonal or?
No, just take and so whenever I get in here, my head would be back here and my feet up here. Here in a little bit, we can go down to mine that I actually have set up down there. And with it being in between trees, I can show everybody how to lay in it. And then if you want to try it out to see how comfortable it is, by all means, lay in it. Yeah, I'm trying to get through this so we can walk down there if you want. All right. So I'm actually just going to leave this underquilt.
And it doesn't take long, obviously, to clip those things.
No, and there's different. See, like some people use these gadgets like this. Okay, the buckles. The buckles that I have on my hammock down there are even more simple than this. Some people will, if they know their knots, they can take and tie like a Beckett hitch like that. And I mean that's quick and easy right there, and you're not even having to finagle with those. You get done, you just pull that, and now that's off. So I mean, there's so many options with hammocks, and most of your hammocks, unless you buy like an Eno hammock from like a REI or a Bass Pro or somewhere like that, you generally want to go through like one of your Cottage vendors, whether it's R Hammocks, Walhalla Hammocks, Dutchware gear, whoever, and they customize everything. You get to pick your fabric, you get to pick the colors, suspension, depending on the temperature rating of your underquilt. I mean, I have spent, like with my 20 degree, we'll just go with the 20 degree because that's one I use a lot. 20 degree underquilt can run you like $200 and something up to $300 and something. My 40 degree, I think it was probably about 150, 160 maybe. So I mean, it just depends on the temperature rating for your quilts. Your hammocks, the one that I just had set up, the hammock itself was, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think it was right around the 200 mark for it. Now you get into the ones like this. This one here was a little bit more for this one. So I'll set this one up real quick. I actually have a different type of suspension on this one that I use. And I'll show y'all how that works here in just a second too. These are called whoopee slings. Whoopee slings. They help with dialing in your adjustments. Yeah, you generally want to use at least a 1-inch webbing. Anything like, if you use a rope or something like that, it can actually damage the trees. Whereas like the 1-inch webbing, it goes around, spreads the weight a little better, and is less damaging to trees. They do have different things that you can use up here instead of just looping through. But with suspensions, you can go as however you want to with them as well, as far as what you want to use. Like I said, with these here, it's the whoopee slings. I've had, most of mine just have the, what they call the continuous loop. So with the whoopee slings, like I said, they're a little different it helps me with my adjusting. I can just pull these ends and they tighten up, and then I can loosen the same way. This particular hammock here, now I've had this hammock down to, I've been in it in like the low 20s and been really too warm. Had to come out of my sleeping bag and everything.
Low 20s.
Yeah. I'll explain why here in just a minute. So this here has spreader poles for it. Whoop, I'll throw that one in last. This one takes just a little bit longer to set up because of these poles. But what these poles do, I got them at the head end and the foot end. Once I get it set up, you can see it pulls everything off of your head. Then I'll show y'all why this one here is so warm. Even I do have an underquilt for this one. Yes. Yep.
So do you need a tarp with that one?
You do. It does have, what you're seeing here on the top is called a weather shield. It helps. It helps with like a light mist, but as far as like a hard rain, it would not be waterproof. Plus the zippers are not waterproof on this. But what the weather shield does is it provides warmth, it provides privacy and all that. Let me get some of these zippers around here on this side. So I can unzip all the way. Hold on. Okay, so that's it totally closed with the weather shield. So I can take, if I wanted, say I knew it was gonna be nice, I could unzip this and have just a netting.
Nice.
If I wanted, say it was going to be nice and I wasn't going to be in a buggy area, and I wanted to be totally exposed to the stars, I can totally unzip it this way and lay in it. Now, what makes this one here so warm, if you look here, from the inside, there's a zipper. There's 6 pockets. 1, 2, 3, and there's 3 on the other side. That helps create like a dead airspace to add a little bit of warmth, but those also work for storage. I don't like leaving my shoes just laying on the ground. That way in the morning I'm not having to worry about spiders or anything else. So I always put my shoes in these pockets.
Don't you feel all that?
Nope. When you're laying down, it's all hanging down below you. You don't feel any of it. Just like my hammock up there with the extra side pockets and all that, I do the same thing, put my shoes in them, and you don't have any issues.
That was kind of cozy, I must admit.
This one here, this hammock here, like I said earlier, is a little more expensive. I think this one here was right around $350 for the hammock.
Stable, or is it all swinging when you're in it?
No, when you first get in it, it might swing a little bit depending on how you sit back and release your legs and stuff like that. But eventually, it does stop just like a pendulum. Me, I love the slight swing in. Get my tarp up if it's starting to rain a little bit. You hear that rain hitting the tarp and a slight breeze, and you're swinging like this. I'll be out like that. So now that's where the tarp comes in. When you have the tarp, pitch it a lot lower, and you don't have that wind.
So is it necessary to pitch that tarp?
You don't have to. If the weather's going to be nice, you don't have to. I mean, I got mine up there. I haven't pitched it You know, I didn't pitch it last night. I didn't pitch it. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I didn't sleep with one at Dismal Falls either. The only time that I really, sometimes I'll put my tarp up, and here, let me show you on back. I'll show you all a couple of tarps too. So like the tarp I have up there comes in what's called snake skins. Now this is a DCF tarp. This is an 11-foot tarp. This does have the doors and everything else. So I can pitch this. Of course I would, if I was sleeping in this, I'd pitch it a little lower. But I would pitch the tarp to where the top is right around in here. This is if it was going to be bad weather. Bring it down to where the sides are about a foot or so off the ground. And then once I got in it, shut the doors, and it blocks out the wind, helps with the cold and everything else. This is a DCF tarp.
And the privacy too. That was one of the selling points for me, is be able to stand up underneath the tarp. Privacy, change clothes. As a female, it's like,
You're good, you're good.
I wanted to have something, again, like your tent, that's your little home. I wanted to be enclosed. And the tarp, I think this is the tarp I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you have one just like that.
And it does do that. It does provide that privacy, the warmth.
So that's DCF right there. And so you can feel that. This one here is an 11-foot. I think the one that I have up there on mine is like a 12-foot. This is a seal poly tarp. I just have it in a DCF bag, but this bag I actually also have my stakes, you know, to tie it out with and everything else. But that's the difference as far as weight between them. So that one there is a little bit heavier.
So what are you going for? Are you going for comfort or weight?
I don't. Whatever. I mean, it depends on what I'm doing. If I know, you know, like whenever I'm at Hang-Con or something like that, if I know I'm going to have, you know, not going to have to carry all the weight, I might go, you know, with something like this and, you know, whatever. My go-to hammock system right now is the one that I'm using up there. So it's not the lightest, but yet it's not the heaviest either. Comfort to me is always there, regardless of which one I use. That's just, you know, how it is with me and hammocks. I just feel like all hammocks, you know, you get in there and lay down, you don't have those pressure points, you know. I've told, you know, Mighty Blue and Jester both, when my wife and I bought our house, I didn't like the bed that we had because I slept so uncomfortable, and I blamed it on the bed. So when we bought our house, I went and, you know, we bought a split king with the Tempur-Pedic mattress and, you know, the adjustable bed frame and all this. I was like, okay, I've got to have something comfortable. I still sleep better in my hammock than I do in that bed. I have two anchors. I have my office room. I have two anchors in the wall that I will go in there and hang my hammock up, and I will sleep in my hammock a lot of times at my house. Just I sleep so much better. In my bed, I get maybe 6 hours of sleep, and it's restless sleep. I can sleep in my hammock, and I can sleep for 10, 12 hours straight and wake up in the same position that I went to sleep in.
But that appeals to you, Betty.
So y'all got any specific questions about the hammocks, or
We do have time to walk up.
you want to walk up that way? A little field trip? Okay, so like I said, this here is pretty much my go-to hammock. This one here it's called the Chameleon because it's so modular. I've got the full net on it. You can get one that is more like a winter cover. So it's a material with just a little bit of netting. You can get all these doodads like this. This is a sidecar. That's where I put my shoes. On the other side, there's what's called a gear sling, which once I unzip it, you'll be able to see it. So my gear sling Same thing, it's just long, and that's where I'll throw my quilt so it's easier to get in and out. But as far as when you have an underquilt on, you always want to flip it over the underquilt and then grab it both together. Because I've seen people just grab this and then they end up on the ground. But grab there, I push that back, I sit down about center, and then I just turn. Now let me kick that off. Whenever I say that about laying at an angle, if I take and I got my head over this way and my feet over this way, I can lay flat. Whereas if you try like this, you're gonna be at a banana.
Let me see you lay flat again.
That's gonna be uncomfortable. So if I turn this way, I'm flat. Now Austin, he has a what they call a bridge hammock. A bridge hammock has 2 spreader bars at the end, so they don't, it don't go up and gather like this. With those hammocks, you can get a perfectly flat laying straight. You can lay on your side, you can lay on your stomach, you can lay however in them. Those do have a little more weight because you got the spreader bars that you got too. So if anybody wants to try it, feel free. Get that out. So you unturn, grab both of these right there, okay? Make sure you got the hammock as well.
Is there a spot in the middle that you want to?
I normally try and hit roughly the middle. You're roughly right. Then you'll push that back. Now go ahead and sit down. Then you just turn there, throw your feet up in there,
I'm set. Oh, yeah.
and you're good. And
Get a picture of you here.
How does that feel?
Wonderful.
now, what I want to show you about the underquilts. You've laid in hammocks before, right? Because of Hang Con. So right now, with this quilt up under her, she's feeling that warmth, okay? She should probably feel warmth up under her back. But now if I take this and I pull this down and under her, just like that, you feel the difference.
I got to tell you, that is definitely an advantage to getting out of something
Yes.
compared to me getting out of my tent. Yeah.
That's why
You didn't hear it? You didn't hear any moaning and groaning and grunting and...
That's why I know I have to go hammock. There's
Yeah.
no way I can get up and down. It'd be too much.
But
And you find that you've got a hammock now,
No.
but
That's
you're thinking.
what I'm going to do.
I just know that she's been in hammocks because she's been to Hang Con.
Yeah, I was trying them out there.
All right, so just have this. You want to grab, make sure you're grabbing this and that at the same time. And then kind of push back on this. There you go. Now you're gonna turn, put your head up that way. Just kind of spin your body. Put your feet down this way.
Good night, John.
What's it like?
It's almost perfectly flat.
Yeah. Now I think if you slid yourself that way a little bit,
Yeah.
it would probably get a little flatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nice. It's nice. And,
Is that good?
Yeah.
Then step up and push back. Yeah. There you go.
wow.
Anybody else?
Awesome.
Want to try it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, look at
All
you.
right.
They're
Doesn't look flat.
recruiting.
So grab a hold of this.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
And then go ahead and sit down. Okay. Yep. Now, as long as you get to that angle, there you go.
What's it like? Comfortable. Let me have a go. Come on.
I knew it.
On the outside, it doesn't look flat.
No, it don't.
Look like you're hanging low in the middle, but when you're in here, it does feel.
So
Yeah.
discuss
flat.
lengths of hammock.
Okay, so your average, the average camping hammock is about 11 foot. Okay, and that's usually where the comfort level comes from. The longer the hammock, to grab both sides. Make sure you get the hammock. Yep.
Make sure you get all.
Yep.
All right.
Sit down. There you go. And then you're gonna be at this angle. Make sure you turn to get at the angle.
I'm still going to make the bloody noises.
So the longer the hammock, the gathered end, the longer the hammock, the flatter you can get when you turn at an angle. The average, you know, most of your hammocks are 11 foot. If you see a lot of like the ones that you see on Amazon and stuff like that, which a lot of people, they'll be like, well, you know, I want a hammock, but I'm not going to spend, you know, a couple $100 on one when I can get one, start pushing back, there you go, when I can get one for, you know, 20, 30 bucks. Well, those $20, $30 hammocks, one, most of them don't come with a bug net. Two, they're only about 9 foot long. 9 foot long, you're not going to be able to get that diagonal lay. So even turning sideways, you're going to still have that banana feel, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And then most people will give up, you know, after that because they think that's how all of them are.
Chuck's probably already sorted out, but you're a big guy. Would you get in there? Do you think? Would you fit in there?
Well, I've had back surgery.
Oh, right.
So sleeping like that, or even close to that, I just can't. I'm a side sleeper.
Not
And
happening.
I've
Okay.
lost confidence. So
Have you ever tried one? Just out of curiosity.
when I was a kid, yeah, I used
Okay.
to sleep in them.
Since you've had back issues.
Okay, because I know a lot of people, like I have the lower disc in my back, what is it, L5S1, is jacked up.
Is that the technical term?
Yes. I actually almost messed it up the other day at Weary Feet. Whenever I went to pull a toad out, I turned the wrong way, and I was like, oh crap, you know. But a lot of myself and a lot of other people, if they do have back issues, they prefer a hammock because they don't have the you know, pressure points and all that, and it kind of forms.
I could definitely feel that then.
That's like the owner of Yobo Gear, Cal. He has major back issues, and he gets up in the mornings from, you know, sleeping next to his wife in the bed. He always talks about his back being real tight and everything. So he goes straight out and just lays in his hammock for about, you know, 30, 45 minutes to loosen everything up. And then, you know, like I said, you know, later tonight I may, if I don't get too lazy, put my tarp on, and I would pitch it low just to help with the warmth. The way I normally do mine, whenever I set it up, I normally set mine up so that whenever I sit in it, I'm sitting just like a chair. I could actually probably go a little lower, probably went up a little bit whenever I was adjusting, but I like sitting like I'm in a chair. Because like there's times that I just want to sit and relax. I can just kind of kick back like this and sit here, and, you know, I can turn and watch the sunrise, you know, flip this out of my way, however, and just sit here and like a recliner. I know a lot of people that will do this and they cross their legs, which pushes this out, and they'll sit here and read a book.
Yeah, I saw several people setting up at lunchtime just because they could so quickly, and they would just sit there and swing.
And that's why a lot of the college students, they have them just to go out on the front lawn of the school somewhere and just hang out, you know.
Very cool. I must say, it was good.
Excellent.
What about going with the dog?
There's a lot of people that have their dogs sleeping there with them. You just got to be a little more careful with the nails, you know, of the dogs. That gear sling that I showed y'all earlier, there's people that put that up if they have a smaller dog, and the smaller dog sleeps in that. So the dog has its own hammock, you know.
That seemed to work.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Seemed to work really well. And it
I
worked.
see, if you scooted up that way a little bit, you would go a little flatter, I think.
Yeah, how's it feel?
And then,
It feels good.
yeah. See, I sleep in my bed. I sleep on my side more. In my hammock, I sleep on my back more because it. Right. I don't.
You know, I was thinking exactly that, because when I lie on my pad, I can't lie on my back for terribly long. Yeah, it's not quite right. Yeah, but that did feel good.
Grab there, grab here.
Yep. Grab that. Go ahead and sit down. All right, now you got your head there. Put your feet over this way. There you go.
And I'm laying flat.
Nice.
Wiley,
What do you think, buddy?
Where's mine? That's what he's asking. Oh, here he
What do you
goes.
think, bud? Well, it's comfy. It's different.
I hear her. Where'd she go?
This is your
That's my
quilt?
quilt, yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Now, okay, here you go. Okay, so I'm gonna let you lay there for just a couple of seconds.
See, I'm swinging.
You feel the, well, that will eventually stop. Sometimes I'll take and I get, you know, if I don't want to swing, I can reach over and just grab the ground. Okay, you feel the warmth up under you?
Kind of.
A little bit.
I mean, I'm not cold.
Right, you hadn't been there real long either though. Now I'm fixing to pull this out from up under you and tell me if you feel the difference. Feel the difference?
Fall asleep.
Yeah, I feel a little breeze. Yeah. It's come around this way.
Oh, what are you doing in there?
Good. You sold, Debbie?
That's something else I like also in the summertime, especially being down in Florida. You lay in a hammock without a quilt on it, slightest little breeze will feel like air conditioning up under you. You know, if you're out camping near a lake or something like that, you can even take your hammock and dip it into the into the lake to get it wet, and then that breeze is really cold.
If you set your tarp up, where will you set it up? Will you lower this, or will you set it on that?
No, it goes above. So, yeah, it's a different line totally that goes across. It has its own ridge line.
So do you
to
put
it.
more straps up, or they just clip onto what you already?
It's all it is zing it. It's just a real thin line that goes around. I got a hook on one side, and then at the other end is what Jester calls a wispy thingy, but it's really called a wasp. You have that on, and your line goes around, and you hook it around the wasp, and you pull to get that tension, and then you can lock it in. And then there's a couple of little clips. Some people use pressic knots. What I have on mine, they're called Nomatlaws. All it is like a little cam lock system. And so I'll put my tarp on there, and then I take and I pull that, and it locks it in. And then I, drop it down to stake everything out.
So your whole setup here with tarp, what kind of weight you looking at?
With this setup here, my tarp is only like 8 ounces. This here, since I got the saddle bags and all that, wintertime I'm probably around 3, maybe 3.5 pounds with the winter tarps or winter. During the summertime, my quilts aren't going to be as heavy and all that. So
Including both quilts?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's considerably.
I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad because the tent and you have to include the tent and the quilt, don't you?
Right. Well, yeah. And see, that's where a lot of people that have the tents are like, well, a tent's a lot lighter than a hammock. It's like, well, no. Let's compare apples to apples here. If I got to compare my hammock, my underquilt, my top quilt, and my tarp, let's compare your tent, your sleeping pad, your sleeping bag, and if you got a rain fly that has to go over, let's include everything. And you'll find that most of the time it's very comparable. A lot of times your hammock is a little bit lighter because, I don't have to have the saddle bags. I don't have to have, all that stuff. I can go with a lighter hammock. I just like the bags for the storage. I can throw my shoes in there. I don't have to worry about critters in the morning. I got my quilt over here. They got that ridgeline organizer that I showed you over there where you can put stuff. And right here, I've got what's called the peak shelf. So I'll throw my headlamp and my hat and other stuff up in here.
Very cool. Good demo. Very good demo. Well done, Paul.